action from the 2001 Baja Pro Series. Tonight, the year that was in the Super Series. So relax, enjoy the view. APBA Offshore Powerboat Racing is next. In 2001, the APBA had its greatest season in history when it came to competition on the water. Hi everybody, I'm Ralph Shaheen. Welcome to our 2001 APBA Offshore Baja Pro Series season recap show. Today, we're going to show you why the APBA Baja Pro Series is by far the most competitive in all of offshore powerboat racing. We're going to follow these teams as they crisscross North America from Florida to Canada and all the way back out to Texas. It was the most competitive season we've ever seen in offshore powerboat racing, and we're going to highlight the Super Series on today's show. We'll take a look at Supercat, Supercat Light, and Super V, and we'll show you how this absolutely stunningly gorgeous Drambuie on Ice Supercat stole the show. APBA offshore boats are some of the most extreme machines you can find anywhere in the world, like this big Supercat Drambuie on Ice. Not only are they extreme performers, but they're extreme when it comes to cost and performance numbers. Right, Bill?
They are indeed. Now, this graphic shows just how extreme it is from the smallest to the top classes. Look at this, from 84 to 135 miles an hour and 30,000 to a million. Excuse me. In rough water, 20 G's of loading. You think that doesn't beat you up?
Round one for the Supercats, Daytona Beach, Florida, the Daytona International Speedway Offshore Grand Prix. Rough water day on the Atlantic Ocean. Great start as the boats all would take the green and get heavily into the throttle. Battle early on between Drambuie on Ice to the right of your screen and the Tommy Bahama boat of the Nemshoffs, Son Paul, Father Mark, battling it out. Crashing through the waves as they would end up fading back to the battle for the lead now. Don Q Rum and the Carlos and Charlie's boat along with Pier 57. And a three-boat battle for the lead. And right when it looked like Pier 57 was going to make a charge, big moment for them. They almost crashed the boat. The Carlos and Charlie's boat moves out into the lead. But that would not be safe as Hugh Fuller and John Tomlinson got the boat really screaming, and Drambuie on Ice would storm into the lead. The Don Q Run machine would make a challenge, Felix Sorales, Pat Patel, but not enough. This day would belong to Drambuie on Ice. Hugh Fuller, the driver, John Tomlinson, the throttle man, they would take the win in Supercat. In the Lucas Oil Super V's, Shockwave battling here with the yellow machine Pier 57 as they fight for the lead. The Muscle Machine, the yellow and black one, and Conseco battling it out for third as they fight through the rough water. But the Zenetics entry would come charging up to the front, seemingly out of nowhere. Wyatt and Jeff get the Zenetics boat right up into the lead. Problems, however, for the Conseco boat. Watch and listen and see what the pounding can do.
I have to stop.
Why?
I just took a hit. Ouch.
What's that?
I can't. Ouch. My spine.
He's hurt. He's hurt, Nigel. Come on in the course.
The navigator on the boat, suffering serious injuries to his back, had to climb out of the boat and go for help. Meanwhile, Wyatt and Jeff in the Zenetics entry would have extended their lead to some 20 seconds over the rest of the field. Now watch the muscle boat, the black and yellow machine on the inside. A beautiful pass by Bruce Kruglich and Dave Branch to take themselves from fourth to second place. That would be hugely important because even though they couldn't catch Zenetics, the rough water would be the better of Zenetics. Wyatt would start to feel ill, making them pull out of the race, and Muscle would find themselves in the lead and getting the win.
We took the other three guys out in the same turn. It was beautiful. It was a gorgeous moment. I looked to my left, looked to my right, and I just saw the saddest faces I've ever seen. Then we stalked Wyatt for the rest of the time. We stayed 20 seconds behind him. I said we're going to do it on the last lap, and then he bailed out. So we just brought it home.
And that they did. One race in, and we're on our way to Fort Myers. Stay with us. Speed Vision coverage of the APBA Offshore Baja Pro Series is brought to you by Baja Marine Corporation. Baja, speed changes you. By Snap-on. Snap-on tools anytime, anywhere at snap-on.com. And by Racing Electronics, the official communications provider to the APBA. Welcome back to our 2001 season review show for the APBA Series. The Hooters Fort Myers Offshore Grand Prix was round number 2. Much better weather, much better water conditions. Once the teams got out of the milling area and ready to go racing, the Supercats would put on a tremendous show. We have a start, and the Baja Supercats are thundering here at Fort Myers. Look at the rooster tails.
Incredible spray out back of the boats, and you cannot get a more equal start here. There can't be any complaints about so-and-so jumping. They're side by side.
On board the Volvo Penta, on board camera with the Nemshoffs, Paul and Mark. Father-son team going at it. Now on board the Carlos and Charlie's boat, driver Jack Carmody.
I'm not moving. Go, Dave. Go, Dan. Going back off.
Boy, and that is close running. Look at the speed.
What? Stay in it.
He's talking about the Drambuie ice boat right alongside.
Yeah, he is really intent. He does not want to get out of the throttles at all.
That's off the backside of the Drambuie ice.
Oh, man.
Wow, look at that. Up front, the Tommy Bahama boat adjusting to the flat water. They would run well in smooth water all year long, but the battle behind them was fantastic between Drambuie on ice and Carlos and Charlie's.
Boy, it's getting... It got even tighter. Well, you just heard his displeasure. You are supposed to give your competitors room, and there was no room. He had to go through the spray.
Carmody and Jackson were absolutely blinded for about 2 seconds by that wall of water, and with the water changing every instant, well, that's incredibly difficult to deal with. Some of the best racers in offshore having at it. Hugh Fuller and John Tomlinson, Dan Jackson and Jack Carmody.
Good job, Jack. Good job. You got it. Good job. You got it. I stay in the white water. Come to Bahama. I got it. Stay in the white water.
Staying in the right water, in the white water, trying to keep things a little bit smoother. Just an extra 3, 4, 5 miles an hour through the corner. Look at him steering as gently as he can.
And they've gotten around the Drambuie ice boat for second now. They'll set sail after the Tommy Bahama machine. The Nemshoffs have been having a pretty smooth run in Tommy Bahama, but as you can see, the gap to Carlos and Charlie's was closing.
And you can see Jack Carmody and Dan have their boat flying noticeably more than the leader. Tommy Bahama looking so stable. This boat is much more on the edge because they are going faster. Last lap average speed of 115, where Pier 57, they're down to about 50.
Yep. Art Lilly's boat is done. Well, and look at this. Carlos and Charlie's catches them and pulls right up alongside Tommy Bahama.
My, look at this speed. Look at the right side of your picture. An incredible burst of speed down the straight.
Good job, Jack. Yeah, buddy. Good job, buddy. Concentrate, man. Concentrate, buddy.
Yeah! Right there!
Ah, the best feeling in the world.
Straighten the fence.
Carlos and Charlie's takes the win and a big victory celebration on the shore. In the Lucas Oil Super V's, the race would get underway with Zenetics moving right to the front. Wyatt and Jeff, once they got past Daytona, would prove to easily be the class of the Super V field.
And watch now here, you see that the muscle on the inside, he's actually forcing Shockwave into the area that has already been run through by our leader. And look at now, the lead is just stretching out. He is caught up in the white water, has to slow down a little bit, let things stabilize. In fact, he has even jeopardized third place back there now.
Zenetics would just motor on. This boat, by far, one of the most dominating machines we've seen anywhere in the world of racing in 2001. Muscle would hold on to the point standings, but for how long? Zanetics closing in. Stay with us. We're coming back for more APBA Offshore. The crews would finally leave the Sunshine State and head to the Lone Star State of Texas for the Allen Samuels East-West Shootout in Corpus Christi.
3, 2, 1, great flag, great flag, great flag.
Wow, and you can see as John Tomlinson got on the throttles, a Drambuie Ice boat really leaping out of the water.
Look how close they are right here, too.
That's onboard the Volvo Penta onboard camera on the WHM Motorsports machine. Look at him flying behind him.
Yahoo, stone blind for a moment. Right through the wake of that boat, he could not see a thing. You just keep the wheel straight and pray for a few seconds. Now, this is going to give us a good indication as they come down here towards us just how rough this is in here. They will get progressively worse and worse as they head towards. Now we're on board Yahoo. Look at the pounding.
Drambuie on Ice was the big dog in the rough waters of Daytona, but WHM looks like the boat to beat here in Corpus Christi in this rough water.
Look how flat that boat rides. It's so deceptive. If you were just watching for a few moments, you'd think this is just a perfect day for boating. No idea how rough it is.
Then a serious incident involving the Carlos and Charlie's boat as the Angels arrive on the scene. Dan Jackson would be okay, but serious injuries suffered by Jack Carmody. Due to the need to attend to the incident, the race officials decided it was best to call the race. That would give the win to WHM Motorsports' Bill Moff and Joseph Imprecia. As you take a look at the results, WHM gets the win. Cat Can Do, Team Yahoo, Don Q Rum, and Drambuie on Ice round out the top 5 in the Supercat series. In the Supercat standings at this point, Drambuie on Ice in the points lead over Don Q Rum and Carlos and Charlie's. In the Super V division, Zanetics once again out front, Conseco and Muscle trying to challenge.
Just listen to the revs. These motors are just spinning up. You can actually watch the tacks on the dashboard. Look at the needles. You can see them as the boat comes out of the water. The revs just suddenly jump up. The throttle man is trying to stay ahead, but it is a huge job today for them.
Corpus Christi, one of the best Super V battles of the year, as Muscle, the yellow and black boat, really gave Zanetics everything they could handle.
And that is a perfect example, the transition from that smooth water we were looking at a second ago. This is as the boats come down towards that aircraft carrier, and look at how violent this is. Just pounding, slamming these boats around. They are trying desperate to keep the throttles down, carry as much speed, and look at Zanetics. They are just scorching along.
This was the kind of racing we had all hoped for all year long out of Super V. Two boats very similar. Muscle and Zanetics going at it side by side, swapping the lead here. Muscle taking the lead back, but it would be short-lived as these two would continue to swap the lead, yet thrill the fans on the shore.
Well, this is the kind of thing that just sets up breakage coming into boats. You have to run flat out. You cannot back off because you know your competition is right beside you. You have to run as, oh boy! Oh, just pitched sideways by that one wave. Again, just the same area of the course that caught him before. He caught a real hard wave and turned abruptly left. That has got to hurt.
That one little slip allows Zanetics to reel right in on Muscle. And look at the momentum that the Zanetics boat has over Muscle, and shooting right past him into the lead go Wyatt and Jeff. Once again, the Zanetics boat would be the winner 2 out of 3 races in 2001. Zanetics would then take the points lead and would never look back. At the end of the day, the APBA family learned of a loss of one of their best friends and best competitors. Jack Carmody succumbed to his injuries and passed away. We lost a great racer, a great man, and a great friend.
Here's a way to help.
For the next round of the APBA Offshore season for 2001, it was back to Florida, Sarasota, Florida, and the Suncoast Offshore Grand Prix, where WHM Motorsports got right back to the front of the pack.
And listen to the scream of those motors. Look how the speed on these boats is building up.
At the top of the screen, Don Q Rum trying to make a move, the big blue boat, but WHM looks strong here today. Wow, flying that nose. Now watch the center of the screen, the big blue Don Q Rum way up in the air, up on the side, almost cartwheeling through the water. A lucky moment for the Don Q run machine.
And watch the air. Look at this. Look at the height. Wow, right on one side. The boat came so close to flipping over right there.
Pier 57 now moves into the lead.
Wow, David Woods, Art Lilly have just come up to say, I want a piece of this fun, guys.
And this fight for second.
That is as close, that's closer than you'd want to get. Look through the windshield.
Now off the back of Drambuie, and you can see when the boat comes up out of the water.
Oh, they touched.
Contact!
They did make contact. They hit right then. Look how the boat has rebounded off. They're both continuing.
At over 130 miles an hour, contact in midair, and Spirit of Puerto Rico goes sailing off course.
Well, that cannot get any more dangerous right there. Look at the slow motion. You see the camera get jarred by the contact, and suddenly the Puerto Rico boat veers sharply. Look at this Tommy Bahama boat starting to move now. They're taking a tighter inside line, and watch this. Powering into clean water.
Much tighter inside line. Look at the difference, and you got to see Pier 57 with big problems.
That, I wonder if they've just lost a drive or something. It looks like the steering just gave up totally. They are a DNF, and they're pulling off the course.
Tommy Bahama, Mark and Paul Nemshoff having a great run up front with a huge lead. But all of a sudden, the power would go away on their machine as well, handing the position, the lead to Hugh Fuller and John Tomlinson, and Drambuie on ice would find themselves in victory lane for the second time this year. In the Super V class, once again, Zanetics battling with muscle, but on this day, muscle just didn't have enough muscle to get the job done. Zanetics would easily take the win over Kruglich and Branch in the muscle entry. Now let's take a look at Super V Light. Back at Daytona, Extreme Stainless would be the early leader, having a great run. But watch this. Bam! Just gets hammered by that bad boat. But they would able to soldier on, and Bill McComb and Rick Termel, even after the big hit, would get the win in Daytona. On to the next race, and Stainless once again up front. But would it be enough?
Lady Luck did not ride with them, because this boat, driven by Robert Stepanio and Alba Hayes, even though they had the terrible fortune of spinning out on lap 1, they came from last after the spin all the way back through the field to get first place.
At Corpus Christi, Solarized Boat 33 bounced through the rough water, but hung on for the win.
And if you've ever wondered why you should or shouldn't do it, just take a look at their view.
Look at how they're bouncing around in the cockpit.
Whoa! Bill! Bill! We made it. Oh, God.
Fortunately for them, they survived the incident and were able to win since there was virtually no competition. Sarasota went to Stainless with a unique strategy.
We had another boat that was real close to us, and we figured we'd let him lead the last couple laps and see if he went off course, and he did, so we just took off. Cat and mouse game.
At Cleveland, Stainless once again. Bill McComb and Rick Termel having a great year in this division, fighting through the rough waters to take the win. Fury would come home in second, right behind him. Then when the series moved across the border to Canada, Scorpion picked up their win in Mississauga. Then when the series came back to Florida, Brian Hollis and Bill Park picked up the win in St. Petersburg and the national championship over Scorpion and Extreme Stainless. The World Championships, however, we go to Bill McComb and Rick Termel, who still had a great season, winning the world title in Extreme Stainless. Stay with us. We're coming back for more of the Supercats right here on Speed Vision. A season review show, the Rockin' and Roarin' Offshore Grand Prix was the next stop in Cleveland, Ohio, in the shadows of Cleveland Brown Stadium.
4, 3, 2, 1, green flag.
All right, and now we find out who made the right guesses on the propellers, and look at Drambuie here running hard.
On board Tommy Bahama, there goes Don Q, the blue and white boat on the right side of the screen, screaming out to the front.
Boy, and it looks to me like Don... Wow, now wait a minute. Now look at Bahama coming on strong. I was about to say Don Q were pulling away, but look at Bahama. They have found a whole new gear, and they are rocketing by them.
Now, this just amazes me, Bill. I mean, I don't care how smooth that water is. It's got to be a wild ride at those speeds. And they look like they're out for a Sunday cruise on your average lake.
Well, this is the one part of the course where they can actually take a brief rest. They can just kind of sit back, enjoy the flat water, go, ah.
Oh, no!
Listen.
What is that? What is it? I don't know, something.
Oh,
We lost the blade.
that definitely is something. That was the sound of a lot of money just getting torn in half.
Once again, Tommy Bahama bitten by a mechanical bug while running extremely well, and the win gets handed to Drambuie on ice. Second place would go to Felix Sorales and Pat Patel in the always hard-charging Don Q Rum Machine, and third would go to Pier 57, David Woods and Art Lilly, having one of their better runs of the year. In the point standings at this point of the year, the Kinetics Cup would be held by Drambuie on ice, Don Q Rum, Cat Can Do, Tommy Bahama in fourth. To the Super Vs. When the green comes out, watch the yellow and blue Pier 57 jumping out to the early lead. Fred Tull and Joey Cratton giving him a run. Zenetics on the outside. Look at how smooth that boat is as it just powers on past into the lead. The Conseco boat up into second, having their best run of the year for Jay Johnson and Nigel Hook in the well-crafted Conseco Scarab. Shockwave with a fire on board for Rich Tripoli and Doug Lewis out of the event, salvaging the boat. Zenetics, the motors just churning through the water, making their way to another win, this time in the Great Lakes, winning the Rockin' and Roaring Grand Prix. Zenetics locking up the points championship in the Lucas Oil Super Vs over Muscle, Conseco, and Pier 57. Supercat light inboard got underway at Daytona with boat 36, Team Yahoo taking the win in the first race of the year for Jammin' Jones and Curtis Morris. As the tour moved on to Fort Myers, Florida, Zip Express in the 777, Dan Francis and Neil Wabi looked like they were going to be the boat to beat, but this day there was some extra little help for the Peppers entry number 1. Michael Stancomb, who races with his father George, had recently lost his son and the mother of his son in a tragic car accident. They raced hard on this day with a special purpose, to get a win in their memory. An emotional victory lane followed.
A lot of prayers the last couple days. All our friends showed up, my family, a lot of support. We lost my son and his grandson about a week and a half ago in a car accident, and you know, we had to win this one for them, him and his mom. I'm gonna miss them both, man. But it's for Beth Ann and Matthew.
Well, gentlemen, from all of your APBA family, we're thinking of you and hope you enjoy this victory whichever way you can.
Thank you very much.
Victory lane can always be emotional, but not like this. Back to the racing, this time at Corpus Christi, the Allen Samuels East-West Powerboat Shootout. Rough waters on this day. Look at how much air Team Tellium, Gary Heon, and John Kiley get. Charging through the waters the best they can.
Uh-oh, now here's a problem. Zip Express are dead in the water. They have suffered a problem. We hear it might be a broken prop.
With Zip Express falling out of the race, how sweet it is both 39 Brent Leach and John Peterson moved into second place in Supercat light inboard. Tellium up front, that big cat slicing through those huge waves. John and Gary enjoying their ride on this very tricky water off of Corpus Christi, Texas. Tellium making its way to victory lane in a checkered flag.
1, green flag, green flag, green flag.
The next round at Sarasota, the Suncoast Offshore Grand Prix, and Tellium would lead the huge pack once again as John and Gary moved right out into the lead and their second win in a row. Celebrations all the way around for the Tellium crew. 2 races, 2 victories, and a good points lead for them. 39 in front of Team Yahoo. How sweet it is, Montana Motorsports and Zip Express. The Big Cats would get ready to go north of the border. When we come back, we're going to Canada. The Conseco boat, however, having a great run and giving a strong challenge from second place in their Wellcraft Scarab.
And Conseco, the big Scarab, has now taken up a challenging position.
On board with them, and boy, Nigel Hook and Craig Berry for 2 races in a row now have really found the speed out of this big Scarab.
Yep, coming through.
Now, Muscle came into this round really thinking they had something for Zenetics, but it didn't work out.
We're real happy. It was what I call fast rough out there, and kind of like Corpus Christi, where you could really run a lot of speed, but there were some big ones out there waiting for you. You got to really be on your P's and Q's, and this boat just eats that stuff up.
On to the Supercats. Good start for Don Q Rum, the big blue machine, out in front, leading the field early on.
This is an impressive display of horsepower. This is where the big supercharged motors really jump out. That's 1,600 horsepower.
Drambuie and Ice sitting back in third. Cat Can Do in second. But Drambuie's got the inside line as you're on board with the Volvo Penta onboard camera. Hugh Fuller on the driver. John Tomlinson, the throttle man, and Don Q just off to the right. That is the points battle, too.
Yep, Pier 57 on that first corner, they took a long outside line. They really kept the momentum up. Art Lilly was able to keep the throttles hard down.
So the points battle is a battle for third right now. Drambuie on Ice, the points leader on the right side of your screen. And Felix Sorales and Pat Patel in the blue. Don Q Rum second in the points and running fourth today.
You know, once again, this gives us a really good example. As that boat was heading directly towards us, the water conditions actually don't look too bad, as they are on the one section of the course. But when they come down the other way, suddenly it goes terrible on them.
Up until this point in the season, one boat we hadn't had a chance to talk a whole lot about was Cat Can Do. At this point, running in second place behind Pier 57. Cat Can Do, the big Supercat number 19, having a good run. Pier 57 up front, really showing the horsepower today. David Woods and Art Lilly having a fantastic afternoon in Mississauga. However, after the race, when Pier 57 had claimed the checkered flags, their boat was disqualified for an illegal rev limiter in a post-race inspection, handing the win to Cat Can Do. Hugh Fuller and John Tomlinson would hold on for second place. Don Q Rum would take third, Pat Patel and Felix Sorales staying close in the points chase. When we come back, the national championships are on the calendar. We're headed back to Florida. St. Petersburg, Florida, the scene for the Hurricane Classic Offshore National Championships presented by Cigarette, and the conclusion to the Kinetics Cup National Championship for Supercats. Drambuie and Ice came in with the points lead, but only need to finish fifth or better to lock up the Kinetics Cup. Don Q Rum still had an outside shot, but Hugh Fuller and John Tomlinson were ready for the war.
Is that an awesome sight? Just tearing down the race course here. Here's Spirit of Puerto Rico. Look at how close he comes right there to that V.
Almost washing it out, too.
Well,
they just disappeared in the spray.
They do disappear. That, too, is potentially such a dangerous part for the V or for any following boat because you literally are completely invisible for a few seconds.
Now, the spectators are right there on your left. That's why St. Petersburg is so spectacular for the fans. The boat's coming so close to the shoreline.
And look at this. Now, this is really a mark of confidence and skill on both teams. Both of them aware where the others were.
The Nemshoffs having a great run. Drambuie and Ice doing exactly what they need to do. Cat Can Do running along solidly in third, having a solid afternoon. And behind them, Don Q Rum, Felix and Pat just could not get out of fourth place, seeing the championship slipping away. And slipping off course, Tommy Bahama.
I don't know where it is. There's a boat in front of it.
They are going way off course.
Where are we? I don't know. Oh,
Boy, and that says it all. Look at him. He's turning hard left.
And here comes Cat Can Do, and look at how far off course they went. You can see Cat Can Do going by him as Tommy Bahama's just getting back to the buoys.
That's amazing. Now they are at least going to go around the buoy. Right there.
Go.
Now, had he not gone around the buoy, he could have been penalized a lap. So at least they are still on the same lap.
Amazingly, however, they would quickly catch back up to the rest of the field.
Wow, look at this. Almost side by side down the straight here.
Keith Holmes, the driver of Cat Can Do, and Paul had a much better line through those corners. Tommy Bahama using sheer speed to get back to the front. Look at how this boat comes charging through the water as the Nemshoffs retake the lead.
Now look how tight he is. He's holding it very tight. There's Cat Can Do way behind. What?
Easy now, easy, go. Just real smooth and easy. I got it.
And after watching numerous victories slip through their grasp due to mechanical problems, the Nemshoffs finally get a win.
Congratulations, what a show. All right, guys, that's for you. Yeah, we almost gave it away out here.
Drambuie on ice, Hugh Fuller, John Tomlinson wrap up the national championship, claiming the Kinetics Cup. As you take a look at the points, Don Q. Rum holds on for second, Cat Can Do, and Tommy Bahama gets the last race of the year victory and fourth in the championship.
I think I could have ran a little better, but I chose just better to run a smart race here. You know, we ran hard, but we tried to run a real smart race, conservative in the turns. Hugh's right on the money. And got to thank the Lord just for all his blessings for everyone.
And now look at the Lucas Oil Super V Series. Fred Tull, Joey Gratton out front in their Pier 57 entry.
These big boats just sound wonderful. If you've never been to an APBA offshore race, you have got to come just to hear the sound of these things. Oh my.
Look at the engine covers flapping in the breeze a little bit back there. Pier 57 boat having one of their best runs of the year, and once again Muscle showing the speed that they had at the beginning of the year here at the back end of the season as they were running strongly in second place. Pier 57, however, would have to succumb to the forces of Zenetics as Zenetics moved past to take another win. White and Jeff win in every race but one in the 2001 campaign. They would also claim the Lucas Oil Super V Championship over Muscle, Conseco, Pier 57, and Shockwave. For more information about APBA offshore racing, check out www.apba-offshore.com. Stay with us. APBA Baja Offshore Super Series season. Let's take a look at the second half of the Supercat Light 2001 campaign. Supercat Light inboard at the Rockin' and Roarin' Offshore Grand Prix in Cleveland. This one would be a great battle between these two boats, number one Peppers and the 777 on the bottom of the screen, Zip Express. The Stancombs, the winners at Fort Myers earlier this year. But where the story was with this one was at the finish. Watch the last lap.
Look at how close they are.
Wow, right in the spray as they come down the final run to the checkers.
Boy, they're coming into the calm water right here. Oh, no, and one more time he goes through that spray. Listen, he's breathing hard. He is trying everything. One more time, again through the spray. What is he doing? I think Peppers are just choosing any line they want on the course right now.
And Zip Express will fall just short and just off to the right of the screen. Peppers goes on to the win in Cleveland.
That's it.
Absolutely unbelievable. What competition all the way through that race.
On to Mississauga, Ontario, Canada for the Offshore Grand Prix of Canada. This time Zip Express and Telium would go at it.
He's going to go outside now. Keep it. I am. Okay. Keep going.
See, that's good. Now what he's doing, Throttle Man is keeping an eye on other boats around as he's working the throttles, allowing the driver to keep his concentration on exactly what's ahead, where the bad waves are, where the good water is.
Then the rains would come as Brent Leach and John Peterson run in third.
Oh, man, did he get air right there. They wanted another huge launch off that wave. This is getting ugly out here. Look at the cloud up ahead.
And look at the rain picking up.
Uh-oh. visibility is going to go downhill dramatically right now.
As the rains increase, APBA officials decided to call the event. Zip Express would hold on to take the victory in the shortened race.
Stay in it. I got it, buddy. That's got to be it. They got a checkered flag out. I'll be damned. We got a checkered flag. All right. Woo! That's what we're talking about.
I think a lot of that celebration is just they made it home in one piece. You see, they both got hands raised in the air.
Yeah! That's what we needed. Go in. Go to the thing. Yahoo!
In the points chase, Team Tellium over how sweet it is, but Zip Express closes in a little bit with the victory. On to St. Petersburg for the Hurricane Classic Offshore National Championships presented by Cigarette. Zip Express would take the lead. Dan Francis, Neil Wabi running out in front of the rest of the pack, while How Sweet It Is, Boat 39, lets it all hang out, running back in second. Oh, man.
Oh, boy, he got really loose, just kind of cakewalking up there back and forth. He backed totally out of the throttle.
That would be important because shortly thereafter, Zip Express would break. We would then find out the transmission let loose on the 777. That would leave the lead and the win to boat number 39. How Sweet It Is would get the victory in St. Petersburg as Brent Leach and John Peterson motor on past a broken Zip Express. In the points chase, however, Team Tellium would win the title by 30 points over How Sweet It Is, Zip Express, Montano, and Peppers rounding out the top 5. In Supercat Light Outboard, the blue and white boat Flowmaster dominated the triple engine class. In Supercat Light Outboard, you can either run a triple or a twin.
Hey, I'm going to cut behind him. Okay. I'm good. Go, 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 go.
And great teamwork to help Flowmaster, Todd Warren, and Michael Anderson win the triple title. In the twin division, Cat Can Do boat number 19, David Zenstra and Mark Polker ran just the last 3 races of the year, but won all 3 and ended up claiming the championship in the twin division for Supercat Light Outboard. Time now for our GM Vortec Offshore View. Lately, we have been talking about new classes and lots of new technology from GM's family of Vortec engines. So for our final installment, we thought we would show you how they used to test marine engines. Back in the old days, they called it dock testing. You lashed your boat to the dock or to the shore, then ran up the RPMs to test the power and longevity. Today, the dyno and computer test benches are much safer and a lot more accurate. But back in the old days, it was a lot simpler, but a lot more black magic, and seat-of-the-pants experience was needed. Nowadays, computers can be used to tell us a lot about what goes on inside an engine. So for safety, the engineers could not resist hooking up their computers during our demonstration to check out the engine's performance during our old-fashioned test. Stay with us. When we come back, we're headed to the World Championships in Key West. The APBA Offshore Baja Pro Series has been brought to you by Baja. Speed changes you. By Lucas Oil Products, the official lubricant of the American Powerboat Association Offshore Pro Series. And by Liberty Coach, the official motor coach provider of the APBA Offshore Baja Pro Series. Once the national crowns were handed out, it was time to go to Key West for the World Championships, the APBA UIM Offshore World Championships. This is a 2-race format. How you finish in both races combined decides who wins the world titles. Supercats got underway. Hugh Fuller and John Tomlinson had the old Drambuie and Ice National Championship boat parked and brought out this new one, the white boat. And Mr. Solo had problems. Kenneth Charles, Robert Stepanio, and Darren Marshall upside down, but all 3 were okay. Race 1 would be real controversial between Drambuie and Spirit of Puerto Rico.
There's definitely going to be controversy again. You can see Spirit of Puerto Rico turned across the bows of Drambuie on Ice. Now, John Tomlinson's boat is not turning well, so he could not really take a tight line, and look how close they come.
So Spirit of Puerto Rico takes the victory in race number 1 for the Supercats. Let's go back now and take a look at the first day's highlights from Super V, the Lucas Oil Super V Series.
Well, these big V's, they just might be the loudest race boats in the world. They come down the harbor here. It sounds like 1,000 Harley Davidsons coming into town. And these guys, well, they have had the season that everybody dreams about. Wyatt and Jeff, virtually untouchable for the whole year.
Well, a new boat would show up at the World Championships and take a shot at him. Altronics, boat 61, would take a run at him, but not enough. Race 1 would go to Zenetics. Supercat Light, Telium, who had won the national championship, chases, catches, and finally passes Peppers. And Telium, Gary Heon, and John Kiley would go on to win race number 1. Hurricanes would force race number 2 to come 2 weeks later. At the start of the Supercat race, Hugh Fuller and John Tomlinson would get right into the lead. Spirit of Puerto Rico would be battling with Tommy Bahama in the fight for second place. Trambuie would be way out front when the first caution would come for Spirit of Puerto Rico, which flipped. Russell Wilkin, Jose Yama, both okay. On the restart, Fuller and Tomlinson motor away from the Nemshoff's Tommy Bahama.
That's particularly impressive because one of the things we have seen all year long in the calm water is the speed of the Tommy Bahama boat. So if they have got this Drambuie boat working that well, boy, that's a strong one today.
One Drambuie ice boat won the national championships. This one wins race number 2 and the world championship. Final standings for the APBA UIM World Titles for Supercats, Drambuie on ice over Tommy Bahama and Spirit of Puerto Rico. To the Super V Series, Altronics found the speed again, and this time was able to hold off Zenetics.
One thing to keep in mind here is Zenetics won the race on Wednesday. There they are right there, so you can see they're close. But I wonder how hard they're pushing, because if they combine the first and the second place, that will give them the title. So maybe their contention is kind of sit back and play a waiting game, not stress the machinery.
Zenetics only had to stay within 16 seconds of the leader, Altronics. That they did. They allowed Altronics to take the win, but Zenetics takes the world title. So Jeff and Wyatt win the national championship and the world championship. Altronics Muscle, Media Master, Pier 57 round out the top 5. Supercat Light inboard. Things would go sour for Gary Heon and John Kiley in race number 2. Not running very well, and then watch this. Over goes the boat. Fortunately, Gary and John both okay, but their shot at a world title going out the window. Zip Express, boat 777, Dan Francis, Neil Wabi, however, would claim the world championship.
It's the best racing we had yet, but we had some great racing all year, and this just tops it all.
Here's a quick look at the Supercat Light World Championship points. Zip Express over Telium by 19. And congratulations to our other outboard champions, Snake Man in the Triple Division and Cat Can Do in the Twins. Well,